Hello and welcome back, everyone. Happy Friday. Today we are going to be doing a rundown of Tinto Flavour number 14, which features the Papal States or the Papal States. We're going to be using both pronunciations. We know one of them is wrong, we just don't know which one. As we go through this, taking a look at some of the flavor, we've already seen a little bit looking at the Catholic International Organization, and what that little bit that we received is that they receive a ton of money in tithes. So one feature of the Papal States is going to be that they receive a ton of gold. I think one of the challenges is, if I'm not mistaken, their capital will start over here in Avignon, which means that they will not be able to establish any control over this area until they get to the coast through Provence somehow, and manage to figure out some way of doing that. That might be hard, that might be easy, but I do think that this will this strange start will texture the run, or any run done with the Papal States, but also something that will kind of inform the Papal States, way of playing, or this type of thing, will be the fact that they are receiving these enormous tithes, and can they make a good use of getting paid out by every single Catholic nation is kind of one of the broader questions, and to what extent can they force or influence people to remain Catholic as a means of, securing that bag. But without further ado, let's receive our Happy Thursday, because this came out yesterday, from our dear Roger here. Okay, hello and welcome to another session of Tinto Flavour, alright? We're about to receive the Happy Thursday. This week we are continuing Christian Easter by taking a look at the Papal States. That's a little bit weird. I mean, I understand that Easter's a holiday, but, it's about priorities, man. Happy Thursday, definitely, kind of higher on the priority list than Easter in terms of, happy salutations that need to be had at the beginning of Dev Diaries. Yep. Okay. Well, it is what it is. It's also notably not even Easter yet, so you gotta wish the Happy Thursday. Terrible. All right, let's continue. Since its creation by the hand of Saint Peter, the hand of Saint Peter himself, the Catholic Church has been the guiding force of all humanity to salvation through the ages, thanks to the leadership of the Bishop of Rome, the Pope. Our favorite bishop. Starting with the donation of the Pepin, it's almost Pippin. The blessed Papal States were created to both govern and help the faithful. However, the last decades have been a constant struggle with the death of Pope Bonifacius. I hope I pronounced that. The eighth, Gaetani Aquili, forced the relocation of the court to the exclave of Avignon as the papacy fell under the influence of King Philippe the Fair Capet, and its holdings in Italy were dominated by quarreling noble families. So we are getting a little bit of texture in terms of what the struggle will look like. What will the Vicar of Christ do? Will he become a puppet of the Kingdom of France and allow its temporal rule over the spiritual, or will he break free and rise to the position of creation that God himself intended for his church? So, will have tools. If you do gain control of the Curia and this type of thing, you will be able to excommunicate people, and maybe you can weasel your way out of, this kind of corner. I suspect you can't move your capital to a place with which you do not have contiguous access, but I don't really know. So if you could just move your capital back to Rome, that would be a much preferable thing. But let's take a look at the country directly. We start with Pope Benedictus the 12th, Fournier, which is going to have a little bit of administration, a little bit of diplo, pretty bad on the war. There was a pope that was really good at war, if I recall correctly, but that's like 200 to 300 years from now. Now being, of course, 1337, the start date of Project Caesar, aka Project Teaser, and so doesn't seem to be the best ruler. We've seen a lot of people with 50s kind of across the line, so he does seem a little bit on the weaker side. And here are the lands that they have, taking into account that their capital is Avignon, not in Rome, which is, of course, not something you want. They start with the special government reform, unique to the papacy, which is going to be the country can only have one major reform at a time. Disallowed diplomatic subjugation, yes, interesting. Probably important to avoid some weird interactions. Monthly religious influence plus 0.25, monthly devotion 0.1, blocked from forming countries, yes. Blocked from forming countries. So you are locked in. You are locked in, ready to load if you are playing the papacy or the papacy. Ruler name uses court language. This is going to be Latin, I assume. Can reassign cleric. Also, interesting that Latin is the... If Latin is the court language, right? To what extent is this going to... I think we saw something in one of the dev diaries about language affecting markets. If Latin being your court language makes it harder for you to do trade, that would be a bit of an interesting thing. But okay, you could change your language, or there's nothing blocking you from changing from Latin. Shout out to Vatican II. If I recall correctly, was when they moved the church away from doing everything in Latin. Can reassign cleric? Yes. Is the Pope? Yes. Blocked from conversion? Yes. No atheist Pope here. Monthly progress towards traditionalist, 0.1, and then on each location is the capital of the country, grants cardinal. Okay. The Holy See is the jurisdiction of the Bishop of Rome, the Pontifex Maximus, head of all Catholic Church, known as the Pope. We do see, and they have some special privileges representing the division between their French and Italian holdings. We have French cardinals. An interesting privilege is going to give 30% clout to, I think, is this the nobility? Or 30% power. Cannot move capital, yes. So, this is something you're going to have to revoke if you want to move the capital to Rome. Monthly progress towards decentralization. This certainly makes some sense. And so, oh wait, no, this is giving 30% power to the clergy, which we assume are going to be extraordinarily powerful in Rome, but this is going to have to be the one you want to get rid of in order to establish your capital in a place that's not an exclave. We have powerful Italian families. Surely this is the this goes along with it, which is going to be for the nobility plus 10% power. This is actually one of the smaller power amounts we have seen on a privilege with just 10% for 5% happiness. That's probably worth keeping in, except for monthly progress towards decentralization. Decentralization is probably bad. Location is in Italy, crown power minus 50% if in Italy. Wow. So I'm guessing in order to really you're getting a ton of money, but these do seem pretty significant in terms of their ability to or limiting your ability to really make use of things. But, okay, we do have the court move to Avignon. Most of the cardinals are French and under the influence of the King of France, whose grip on the papal states won't allow a return to Rome. The anarchy and disobedience of the city of Rome and the other Italian estates greatly increased when the Pope moved his court to Avignon, and now these territories are under the control of powerful Italian families such as the Colonna and Orsini that are almost completely independent of the Pope. And we also add a unique policy here, which is the papacy. This is policy of the theocratic leadership law, monthly religious influence, a tolerance towards true faith, plus 0.1, or so 1.0. And this is on top of already having religious influence from the Holy See, if I recall correctly. So we are going to be getting 0.35 total in modifiers at this point. They also have works of art, the Palais des Papes, which is a masterpiece that is in Avignon. It was... the Palace des Papes was built in the 14th century when the papacy temporarily moved from Rome to France. This massive Gothic palace serves as the residence for 9 popes during the Avignon papacy. It is not only a religious center, it is also a symbol of papal authority and power in Europe. Here we have some of their unique advances. The word of the Lord, diplomatic reputation 5.0. Is that a lot? I think that's a lot. And this is going to be useful for trying to, if you need to fight France in some way, or something like this, finding allies in order to fight France, in order to escape their clutches, is maybe something that is going to benefit a lot from diplomatic reputations. As his most loyal servants, his holiest of bishops, it is us who reads and interprets the word of the Lord. As such, our diplomacy is backed with the divinity of God. I was so expecting this to be the hand of God, but it was just divinity. Okay. We see the glory of Rome, which is in Age of Discovery, minus prestige decay. Seems like a reasonable modifier. Curious to see just how good prestige is, but we control the great city and the ancient capital of the Romans. We are the preservers of their marvelous tradition. The tradition of sacking Carthage, you mean? ensuring that we are now in the wrong timeline. Terrible. Okay, we have the donation of Constantine, which is going to be in the Age of Discovery, Casus Belli creation speed plus 25%. I don't think this is going to be a particularly strong modifier, but if you're constantly creating Casus Bellis, this will maybe be interesting. Probably not worth spending the research juice on, although I forget exactly how research works. The donation of Constantine demonstrates our authority to bestow the title of Emperor of the Romans upon whomever we choose. It may also prove that we're rather good at forging documents. Although, to be fair, I forget exactly how advances work in terms of you might have to research one advance in order to get to the next one, and so this one might be in the way of something better behind it, so you might end up researching it. But Casus Belli creation speed just generally seems like a kind of not very strong modifier. Unless they take forever to get, and it does represent kind of maneuvering around speed bumps for you, the player. We see the Holy Father as an advance, available in the Age of Absolutism, antagonism impact minus 10%. Now, if these antagonism impact modifiers stack additively, getting multiples of these is, of course, going to be very, very strong, which any EU4 player kind of knows from any reduction in terms of cost modifiers. They tend to be extremely strong. I actually really like how Civilization approaches the discount mechanic, which mathematically, rather than stacking them additively so that you could get minus 100% and then everything's free, the way that it works is it's 1 over 1 plus X, where X is the discount you're receiving. So if you got minus 100% cost, what you would have is instead 1 over 2, and you would just pay 50% of the cost. If you had minus 200% cost, you'd pay a third of the cost, minus, right, because 1 over 3 is a third, and as such, you can never, like, have this, oh, it's just free, type of thing. But just a little bit of an aside there, being the Vicar of God to the Romans Catholics gives us certain amount of political leeway. The Papal Bull documents carrying the Pope's official seal carry the weight of the very word of God. With these, rulers have been cursed, the entire continents divided. Although by the time you're hitting absolutism, we're expecting to see, a little bit of a split with the Church, Protestants kind of rising up, unless perhaps this is something you have agency in as the Pope to prevent. One particular characteristic of the papacy is that their succession law is not like the rest of other countries. As such, they have a special succession law, the Papal Conclave. When the Pope dies, cardinals gather to debate who will be the new Pope. This can be quick, but sometimes it can take several years. Eligibility rules allows estates, clergy, and crown. Eligible characters will be ranked as follows. New Pope is elected through a process after the previous one is dead. What's the process? That makes it so that when a pope dies, the country enters into a papal conclave regency. It is eventually resolved with an event firing where the players will be able to choose between some of the cardinals available. Presumably between the ones that are kind of more qualified. Between the ones that probably have the most kind of sway over the papacy in terms of who has the biggest curia, this type of thing. So if someone has a ton of, bishops and cardinals, they will probably be better at getting their own guy on the throne. We are being ruled by Papal Conclave. We see stability investment is minus. And we see this is concluded here, and we can decide who we will get here. The Cardinal of Bazas, the Cardinal of Rome, the Cardinal of Cartagena. Man, I don't know why I couldn't say that. I probably still didn't say it right. Shout out to mispronunciation. So, this is going to be, you're going to have choices. I assume that when you hover over these, you can get a look at what their stats will be, which is pretty nice in terms of having 3 choices to go for. You will be able to go for a ruler that has the attributes that you want. Hopefully, or at least as much as possible. Here are some events available to the papacy, reinforcing Castel Sant'Angelo. We have the Mausoleum of Hadrian, nowadays better known as Castel Sant'Angelo, has been gradually transformed by our predecessors into a fortified bastion, providing a vital line of defense for Rome. With the turbulent nature of our times, many advisors now urge us to finalize this transformation into a formidable castle, one capable of safeguarding Rome against any threat. We don't see what exact bonuses we will get, but we do see was protected by St. Clement in 1527, or during 1527, the sack of Rome, and as he and his retinue took refuge there from the invading troops of Charles V. So this is also something we're expecting to see some amount of flavor for, even if it's not in this Tinto flavor, which is going to be the big fight between Italy, France, and also Germany and Iberia or something like this, over the fate of Italy, as it were, kind of during this time period. Giving access to a special building here, Castello Sant'Angelo. We are going to have garrison size plus 200, fort defense plus 20%, and probably the most important attribute, fort level plus 2. Expecting this to be pretty substantive. And then we have production requirements for construction is going to be some stone, and building costs is going to be 500. Of course, if you have a lot of stone, this will decrease the initial building cost. We were kind of figuring that out on stream, exactly how that operated. But, okay. Initially built as a mausoleum. It's a tomb, not a mine. Alright. Here we will go take a look at events for some special individuals. Raphael Sanzio da Urbino, not something we're familiar with, but he is a celebrated Renaissance painter and architect, has recently caught the attention of our court. Known for his exquisite compositions and mastery of perspective, Sanzio da Urbino's works have earned him acclaim across Italy and beyond. Hiring him would surely enhance the cultural prestige of the church and would also attract admiration from scholars and artists alike. Many advisors recommend that we formally invite Sanzio to serve as an artistic consultant and elevate the grandeur of our projects and reinforce the papal legacy in art and architecture. And I think that seeing all these artists is actually super sweet in these Tinto flavors, because I'm hoping that we get a sort of like a playing towards your own goals type of way of playing, where, you know, if you want to focus on the arts, you can focus on the arts. If you want to focus on map painting, you can focus on map painting. This type of thing, it's all truly just painting. And you can try and, you know, weave your own story in terms of what's important for you, and have multiple metrics by which to judge your run. Like, this could be the collection of masterpieces, although I'm assuming you can fight and grab masterpieces, so maybe the smash and grab method is still better for getting masterpieces. We see Galilei, who of course is, you know, famous. The notion that the Earth and the planets would revolve around the Sun is an idea that Copernicus first wrote about in his book De Revolutionis Orbium Coelestium in 1543, and now Galileo Galilei has has promoted again in his book Sidereus Nuncius, A Starry Messenger. His controversial champion of this has given him many enemies in the Catholic Church, and although we admit that that he would be most interesting debate opponent, maybe we should just be cautious and imprison him to prevent his ideas from reaching the public. Yeah, so everyone always like jumps to Galileo's defense, but Galileo also, if I'm not mistaken, he also just like wrote stuff that just straight up made fun of the Pope, beyond just saying like that the which obviously is not reason for imprisonment, but it wasn't just saying that the planets revolve around the sun. He was also provocative in his approach, if I am not mistaken. So we, of course, will imprison him, as is just. We see the Borgia Pope, which is kind of the one I was thinking of. Caesar Borgia, if I'm not mistaken, just went on an absolute tear through Italy in terms of military campaigns. White smoke emerges from the roof of the Sistine Chapel amid accusations of simony. The conclave has elected a Pope Eugenius IV Borgia, Archbishop of Valencia, to the throne of St. Peter. The Borgias are a relatively recent arrival into the theater of Roman politics and have gained ire of the more established Roman families who have coveted the position for themselves. Though many of the rumors surrounding the Borgia Pope are likely to be exaggerations, propagated by his enemies, he is known to be openly keep a mistress and has already elevated his teenage son, Caesar Borgia. Okay, so Caesar Borgia, on behalf of his father, rampaged through Italy to the rank of cardinal. Speculation abounds that the reign of the Pope will be fraught with scandal and corruption and war. Okay, I'm sure this one will have no repercussions whatsoever, basically. There are also some events about some famous refurbishings. We see the Sistine Chapel. This is going to get refurbed. The Great Chapel is used for the masses and can be held in smaller, less public spaces than the basilicas. The years have not been gentle to the once magnificent chapel that was decorated by Fra Angelico. Its walls are leaning and in a ruinous state. The chapel should be demolished. The structure is not safe enough for the many masses that are held there every year. A new, more magnificent building should take its place, and many famous artists would be honored if they were asked to decorate the Sistine Chapel. I can't remember if it was Michelangelo or Raphael. I think it was Michelangelo painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, but very cool to see this event in here. I guess we'll find out now. It is Michelangelo. The old decrepit Capella Maggiore is no more. In its place is the Grand Sistine Chapel, and now stands the Temple of Solomon, and the Sistine Chapel are the same dimensions as given in the Old Testament. The exterior is unadorned by decorative details, and the building is divided into 3 stories with a vaulted ceiling and 6 tall arched windows on the side, 2 on either end. Although beautiful in its simplicity, the chapel's beauty could be enhanced, by frescoes painted by the foremost artists of our time. So we will have some options here. Michelangelo is among them, and we do see Michelangelo here. Commissioning of St. Peter's Basilica. We do see a little bit more as we kind of move on. The old St. Peter's Basilica was built by Emperor Constantine the Great, is nowadays in a sad state of disrepair due to its age and lack of maintenance it had to endure during the stay of the Pope in the city of Avignon. The time has arrived for all of Christianity to now come together and rebuild the temple and transform it into a monument worthy of St. Peter himself. Well, if a lot of your income is just coming from all the Catholics anyways, they're kind of already paying for it, isn't it? Isn't that kind of how things are going? The completion would take more than 100 years, and one of the most famous artists in history, Michelangelo, had a large role in its completion, both as architect and painter. So we can fund it with indulgences, our favorite. Or I assume that this is pay for it ourselves, and this is just ignore it. And we do see the St. Peter's Basilica, which is going to be art quality of a magnum opus, and it is going to be a monument, and it is going to be, we assume, in Avignon. It was originally built on the top of a Circus of Nero by Emperor Constantine, has been the center of Western Christianity ever since, including being the place where King Charles the Great caroling was crowned. The new building replaces it completely, being a great expression of the beauty of the Renaissance, as it befits the greatest churches of all of Christendom, and much, much more. But wait, there's more. But that is all we will show for today. Womp womp. Next week, we will go to the military branch of Christianity by taking a look at the military orders of the Teutonic and Livonian orders and the Knight Hospitalars. See you there. Well, this is a bit of an interesting news in terms of thinking about the timeline of things, because I was expecting to see a bunch of religions in a row, kind of every week, this type of thing, and instead we are seeing a little bit more details on the Christianity. So, if they have, dev diaries planned out for quite some time now, this is maybe an indication that there are going to be more dev diaries to be had as time goes through, kind of before we get to see a little bit of a closer look at the game. So this is maybe not the best sign in terms of timeline, that we're going to be spending more time on Christianity rather than taking a look at other religions. But it's also possible that we just don't take a deep dive look at most of the religions in-game and instead just kind of see a bit of Christianity. I'm assuming that they do want feedback for kind of most of the bigger religions, so before they are looking to roll the game out. So it'll be, the feedback takes some time, and implementing changes takes some time, this type of thing. And I was expecting to see maybe a little bit of something different. But okay, we do see this, and with this, we see our lack of a happy Thursday. So we didn't even get the happy salutation at the end. terrible. So, you know, what is it? Johann continues to be locked in the trunk. The happy salutations are, you know, are threatened, and so, you know, a shadow falls over Tinto as happiness is less had. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube algorithm thing, hit the notification bell, and other than that, have a happy Friday.